Apart from that, we have indifference curve of the manager, which tells us about the point where he would spend. It is not. Oh, what to say about this? It's not that the firm will maximize profit at D and spend at S1, but the firm will spend at S2 and just earn pi to profit because it will maximize the utility of the manager.
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Hoàng Long. I think that you understand that well. So again, just want to remind all of you about what reconfirm what Hoàng Long just mentioned. We have the inverted U-shape. I mean, showing that on the left-hand side of the inverted U-shape, we have the positive correlation between the discretionary profit and discretionary expenditures. So the more you pay for the manager for additional expenditure, give them more benefit, they will have more incentive to produce more and more additional profit for your firm. However, until point D, we have seen that on the right-hand side of that, if we still increase expenditure, we still pay more for the managers. I mean, according to what Long mentioned, we figured out that it's diminishing manager. We say that could be manager profit or manager return or manager profit here. We see that even you pay, but it's got the additional profit is decreasing. We have that. It's not efficiently as before. And we have for the utility of the managers, which is very important for them. We have the interaction between the inverted U-shape and the utility curve for the firms. And we have point E exactly as the firm when they have they still have the additional profit, but they also could maximize the utility of the managers. So here in this model, we figured out that the firm the manager would like to maximize the utility, and of course as a result there could be like the equilibrium at point E when the firm still gets some discretionary profit. Of course, they still need to pay something for discretionary expenditure, but at that point they have the maximization of the utility. Yeah, it is for that. So thank you, Hoàng Long, for that. And according to this model, they have they mentioned that the profit maximization when achieved when there's no discretionary expenditures. However, for manager utility maximization, they need to change the discretionary expenditures. It means that they should pay something, and they should pay at point E when they have as what we mentioned as the point of managerial utility maximization. So for this explanation, you would read in the paper in the textbook that we have. Now we get to the sentence that I would like you to look into. And this kind of thing is difficult as well. So I would like to any of you to explain about this. Explain about the sentence. Hoàng Long as well. Still, okay, your chance if you want to do that.
So from the book, because we reach the conclusion about this statement, we have to know about the analysis of the economic variable. Like in the book, they said that when the demand falls, firms will just have to cut the discretionary expenditure and still achieve required rate of return pi m.
Yep.
So from that, Williamson said firms were able to make cost reductions in time with declining profit opportunities without hindering the operation of the firm.
Yeah, so it's clear with that, because here we have the discretionary profit is the additional point, which is like the additional to the discretion with the minimum or required profit. So it's kinds of optional. Therefore, in the time of declining profit opportunities, and exactly as what Hong Lam just mentioned, firm could make cost reduction by reducing the discretionary expenditure for the firm. And of course, it will not hinder the operation of the firm. And if you look into the graph, you could see that if even that in that time, we could reduce the expenditure even from S2. We have it here. If we even reduce the expenditure from S2 to S1, we could see that we have the movement or from point E to point D. And even in that time, the discretionary profit could increase as well, so not just only decrease. Okay, thank you, Hoàng Long. I think that is good. And I'd like to have bonus of 0.5 for the meter. Okay for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Any question with that point, with this point? I think that the both of this kinds of clear. So I think that this models also explain a kind of like an actual situation when the firm think about like whether they should pay additional benefits, like giving them the vacation money or kinds of like laptop or houses, for example. And I think that it could be a good chance, good opportunity for the firm to increase the profit as well. So now we move to behavioral models. For behavioral models, people look into the firm with multiplicity of objective. There could be a lot of objective set by the firm. And according to Simon 1959, he mentioned about like satisficing. Who would like to explain about satisficing and the main idea of Simon 1959? Who would like to volunteer to explain about this? Nguyễn Phương Hoa, okay, your turns.
So yeah, so Simon termed satisfying. It implies that the
satisficing. Remember that it's satisficing, but not satisfying. It's different.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So satisficing is when the firm reach an outcome that can like satisfy all and that can be satisfying and acceptable, but not rather than optimal. So the reason for it can be explained because because the firm is very complicated and it consists a lot of departments and also like shareholders, so it can like reach an optimal choice, but it have to like take many things into account and so on. It just like reach an acceptable and satisfactory outcome. And this about this he reached a decision making process by which the first step to do is set objective, and then you go like put it into practice, and then you evaluate the performance. If the objective is not achieved, then you will like set a lower one and put it into the practice again. But if the objective is achieved, so like it's kind of like so we can achieve that objective and then reset a higher one for the next part. So this is my.
So there is something that I would like to ask you. How do you understand about iterative process of setting objective? How do you understand about this?
So
iterative. You understand this? What does it mean with that word?
Actually, I don't understand this word.
Iterative. You don't understand this? Do you understand this graph?
Yes.
So could you re-explain about that?
Like because it's really different from the profit maximization or revenue maximization. You don't have a clear vision. So we just set the objective first, and then you put it into practice to see is that practical and achievable. Then you will like modify the goals after that evaluation.
So what kind of modification is that?
So when the objective is not achieved, you will like set a lower objective, but when it's achieved, you will like set a higher one.
Yeah, so in that case, satisfying is that it's a process that you say that you could adjust the objective. So iterative, that means it's like kind of continuous process. You have it as a circle. You set objective, you adjust the objective in accordance with the actual performance of the firm. Yeah, so you see that the objective here, it could be set in sort, could be adjusted. However, we can see that in long run, the profit maximization is still like the very important. It's still very important objective for the firm. Okay, thank you, Phung Hoa, for your answers. I think that for Simon, it's kind of easy to understand. Satisfying here, yeah, as Phung Hoa just mentioned, is the case of like the firm said a satisfactory rate of the profit, especially for the survivor. For Sayed and March in 1963, who would like to volunteer to explain for this?
Can I share my point of view?
Khánh Linh, right? Okay, it's fine.
Yes. So for the first point, firms as a collection of interest groups. This is when the author they identify that the various groups which exist within the firm, defining a coalition as any group that share a consensus on the goals to be pursued. It means that the different departments within the firms behave as a collection of interest group in a whole. Yeah. So for the second point, different goals. The author also identify the area of activities within the firms where objectives have to be set. There might be many specific goals to cover, which are production goals that largely concerned with the decision about the output of employment. We also have the stock goal that mainly concerned with the warehouse division of stock of raw material and final product. Also the sale goals concerning the matter of increasing sale that could be set in terms of revenue or in terms of output. We also have market share goals and the profit goals as well. Also for the last point, how to resolve the difference, yes, and as you have shown in the slide, we have the solution of payment of money or policy commitment. So to be more specific, to achieve an agreed set of goals for each of the above categories require the various groups to resolve any disagreement about the appropriate specification. And so the difference can be resolved so that the consensus that become agreed by the payment of money. The pay of money means that additional allocation of resources to groups or individuals, so that they become more content with the cost chosen by the firm. And the second one, policy commitment. This is to keep group or individual happy with the agreement. So not paid directly. That's what I want to share with you in the class.
Yeah, I think that is kind of how to understand about the natures of the thing. So at first, according to the hint, and also can you just mention, Sayed and March consider firm as a collection of interest group. So as what I said, that there could be, firm is not just a unit. It's not considered just a unit, but it's a unit including different department like production, stock, sale, and market share and profit. Different department with different goals as well. I've seen that there normally different kinds of conflicts between the sales department and accounting department. One part, they would like to have as much sales as possible, so they will facilitate, they will make all of the procedure to be very easy for the customers, especially for the case of giving the customer to have the chance to have a delay payment, for example, late payment. However, for the accounting, they need to follow the regulation. As a result, it's very difficult to have the consensus among their department with different goals. And to deal with those kinds of conflict, Sayed and March has mentioned about the two ways of resolving the difficulties or the difference, either by paying the payment for policy commitments. It means that for some department or some stakeholders, if they see that they have some kinds of loss when the firm carry out some certain policy, the firm could pay them as well, or have some certain policy commitment for some activity, so that they could easily accept those kinds of things, those kinds of conflicts, and try to resolve conflict as well. So it is very important to have that. Okay, thank you, Kang Ling, for that. For those kinds of behavioral models for Sayers and also Simon, for Simon, the adjusted objective, and for Sayed and March, they consider a firm as a complicated organization, and as a result, they need to have a modern they need to settle the conflicts among different departments. And with those two of the typical or outstanding behavioral models for that, we have seen that for advantages of the behavioral models, it will it's kind of realistic decision making. It's very near. It's helped to reduce the problem in reality. And firm as an actual organization, but it's not an idea organization, as mentioned in the previous course of, for example, micro or etc. Disadvantages, we have seen that there's no consideration of direction to the external environment. So we just consider the activity within the firm, but not the relationship with the other firms or any other parties in the market as well. So it's the thing, it's the disadvantages of the behavioral models. So I think that for Williamson utility maximization and behavioral models could be understandable. Before I would like to spend some time for you to answer the question if you have, I would like you to come into the final thing of corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility, or we call it CSR, it's kind of very popular nowadays. In Vietnamese, we translate it to be like trách nhiệm xã hội của doanh nghiệp. So you have seen that a lot of firms have tried to do that. And according to Moore in 2001, the definition of him showed that CSR is a thing which individual firms serve social needs. We think about the social needs. Like if you see that some firm do the charity, they have some other activity like to protect the labor, etc. And the big firm normally have the very good activity for CSR. Yeah, so I think that you know a lot about CSR, which I see. I could tell you that it's get more and more popular nowadays. But do you think that CSR also help the firms to some extent? Why do the firms have the motivation to carry out CSR? At first, I would like you to look into this. Ask yourself, are there any relationship between CSR and, for example, the profit of the firms or revenue of the firms? Do you think that the more CSR the firm do, more profit that they could receive? Who would like to explain this? Who would like to share with it your idea with us? Bạn nào muốn trao đổi? Lê Thị Thu Huyền, okay, yes.
Okay, so as I think, because their corporate social responsibility is go along with their brand name and the image of the firm to the society, which means that when the firm has a good reputation, they can earn a lot of, high intensive investment from a lot of stakeholder, which means that they can earn more profitability in the long run. And more than that, when their firm appears in the society with a good image, which means that the product of the firm is also approachable to a lot of customer and user. So that I think is needed. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see that it's a one way for the firm to advertise themselves. They don't need to pay as much expenditure for normal normal like advertise on TV rather than that for CSR, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think that is kind of interesting point as well. So the more you appear, the more the firm appear on some activity, like if they do the charity or they do some activity, and then the TV when broadcasts about that activity, so it's one way to be considered as advertising as well. Yeah, so it's helped the firm to help the consumer to know more about the firm. The first like that. Any other thing? Nguyễn Thanh Hòa.
Yes. So I learned some information on charitable work can reduce their taxes. That means that when they do the CSR, they don't need to pay that same amount of tax. So I think it's a bold way to advertise the companies and avoid paying taxes.
Very good. So it's mentioned that if they do the charity, the poor people, etc., they will not need to pay the tax for that. That's just very good. Lê Hoàng Long.
For the news, I think I have 2 points to make. Thing is, nowadays Vietnam it's aiming for the government initiative for green startups. It's that they will have more chances to gain cheap capital. So so yeah, so from cheap capital we have more profit than other industries. Another point I want to make is that recently I see a Chinese government initiative of cutting steel production for Olympics. So hypothetically, if a firm in steel industry can somehow reduce their emission to the environment, they can earn more profit by taking more market share of other companies that cannot do that.
Yeah, so what exactly is the thing about the corporate social responsibility, the relationship between that and the actual profit of the firms?
I think when firms aiming for corporate social responsibility, they will like gain advantages from government.
What kinds of government is that? The support from the government, right?
Yeah, the kind of support from the government.
It could be somehow like that, because you see that when the firm do that activity for environmental protection, etc. So the firm, the government would know more about them, and because it's good for the society, so it is also protected by the firm as well. Yeah, I think that is a good point as well. Nguyễn Đỗ Khánh Linh, you want to have some point?
Yes, I also have another point that those firms who are like socially responsible may avoid the like punctuation of government. I mean, bad corporate that have the antisocial behavior might like come in for the imposition of the expensive and the inflexible regulation regimes, so that the government can like come to curb those bad behavior. So that's I think that it's a save a huge amount of money. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that your point and the point of Lê Hoàng Long kind of similar to each other. Either it's not punishment from the government, but so like it is from the perspective of the support and protection from the government. Nguyễn Thu Hằng, you still have something to add?
Em là Nguyễn Hằng Thu ạ. Yeah, I have read a paper of Brammer and Pauline in 2006. They acknowledge that the social responsiveness improves the favorable relationship between the stakeholder group and the manager. But I think besides that, some firms do the social responsibility due to the environment purpose. Yeah, I have read another paper of Tom in 2002. They say that when the firm does the responsibility, they will aim to reduce the raw material they will optimize the raw material and reduce the waste. So they can, I think they can take it. And make better.
They can
reduce cost. Yeah, can reduce cost. It's not any government inferior in that, I think.
Okay, so we see from different points. Thank you for your points about. We see that CSR impact could be considered as one way for the firm to advertise themselves. One of the ways to increase their reputation as a firm with like strong financial condition or strong financial capability, because normally we just have in mind that the rich people could do the charity activity and corporate social responsibility. So normally it is one of the ways to show the reputation of the firm for the very strong financial capability. And it's very easy. I could tell you the additional point is that it's helped the firm to attract the investment from the other investor easier. You know, it's when for a long term increase the profit of the firm as well. And customer will believe into those firms and the quality of the firm, because they think, okay, only the firm will have money could do that because of CSR. And those firms could really guarantee for the quality of the products. So people when buy that a lot, and as a result, the revenue and the profit of the firm could increase. So you could see that you yourself could have a different argument for that. You see that it's very in long term. In fact, if you want to figure it out, to do some kinds of empirical studies about the relationship between CSR and the profit of the firm, you could do that yourself. It's a very interesting topic, and CSR also needed because it's helped to minimize the risk to reputation. You actually know about that, and the profitability. As what I said, it's a way for the firm to really tell the stakeholder about the financial capability as well. And to some extent, it is needed because it's provided in the regulation of the firm of the country. For example, some country like Vietnam or the other developing country, they provide that firms which they need to process, they need to deal with the problem, the environmental problem by installing equipment and system for resolving the waste and so the environmental emission of gas, etc. So it's also according to the regulation that the firm needs to do. So this 3 point is just the reference of you. And I think that if anyone who would like to look into this corporate social responsibility topic, it's an interesting topic as well. So this last slide for this chapter of business objective and firm theories. Do you have any question with this about anything that we have discussed?
I ask a question.
Yes.
Is this the corporate social responsibility? Is it counted by the ESG?
It's not just about that. It's ESG, that environmental something, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about that. Corporate social responsibility is not just about the environmental activity, but also, for example, if some firm have the expenditure, have spending for their labor, they would like to increase the labor protection. They equip the laborers with the safety equipment, or they could pay the labor, and they could have the regulation to protect the laborers. It's also included. So not just environment, but something on the thing related to the labor, customer, or the stakeholders. Các em xuất phát từ khái niệm rằng là liên quan đến gọi là social needs. Thì social needs ở đây các em lưu ý rằng không phải chỉ liên quan đến môi trường. Môi trường là một thứ, nhưng ví dụ như là chúng ta thấy là gì? Vietcombank người ta có thể tài trợ cho ví dụ như người nghèo, charity nó cũng là một góc độ, hoặc là bảo vệ chính những người lao động, trang bị các cái trang thiết bị hỗ trợ bảo vệ vân vân, bảo hộ cho người lao động cũng là một thứ. Vậy tất cả những gì mà liên quan đến cái gọi là về mặt xã hội thì đều có thể là included vào social responsibility, chứ không phải có environment. Được chưa nào? Các bạn, chỗ này các bạn hiểu chưa? Chỗ này các bạn hiểu chưa nào? Như vậy chúng ta nhớ rằng đây là một ngữ và một cái chủ đề này nó cũng rất là hay, rất nhiều người ta cũng quan tâm đến này rồi. Vậy em thấy là rất nhiều người mà em tự đặt ra, ví dụ như các doanh nghiệp người ta đi từ thiện, từ thiện như thế thì nó có làm tăng lợi nhuận không? Thì chúng ta đứng về mặt kinh tế chúng ta thấy là cái điều này nó cũng có. Từ góc độ là thay cho quảng cáo làm tăng reputation, và tăng reputation là gì? Tăng cái bán được sản phẩm, rồi lại tăng cả đầu tư, vẫn tăng cả thu hút được cái vốn đầu tư. Thì chúng ta thấy đấy cũng là cái lợi rất là nhiều hướng của doanh nghiệp. Cái đó là thứ mà các em có thể cân nhắc. Chúng ta có thể nghiên cứu về CSR nếu các em muốn. Đây cũng là chủ đề cũng có nghĩ là cũng rất là hay và nó mang tính chất là được thực tiễn cao. Rồi các bạn nào còn có câu hỏi nữa không nhỉ? Rồi nếu các bạn không có câu hỏi nào thì chúng ta sẽ chuyển sang phần tiếp theo. Chuyển sang phần tiếp theo thì cô sẽ có thể là giới thiệu với các bạn một chút nội dung, và sau đó thì chỗ này nó đơn giản để các bạn có thể đọc tài liệu, và sau đó thì chúng ta sẽ discuss tiếp. Và cũng muốn là các bạn, thực ra các bạn phải đọc thì các bạn mới discuss được, mới thú vị, và chúng ta sẽ có thể phân tích những cái nội dung về bản chất của vấn đề của chúng ta. Vậy the next chapters sẽ liên quan đến cái gọi là demand and consumer behavior. Có thể nói đây là những cái nội dung mà nó cũng khá là sát với chúng ta. Chúng ta thấy là nó cũng khá là sát với micro mà chúng ta đã học, chỉ có điều chúng ta sẽ tiếp cận thêm ở một số góc độ khác. Required textbook, we need to read through the chapter 4 to 6 of business economics and managerial decision making. And for our recommended textbook, we have chapter 2. You are required to read through that. Economics, business, and management. The structures of this, we have 3 parts. Demand analysis, demand function estimation, and consumer behavior. Demand analysis, demand function estimation, and consumer behavior. For demand analysis, we have 3 things: market strategies, revenues, and elasticity. First question about the market demand. I'd like to raise to you, some different questions. You should write it down, and then I will give you some time to look into that, and then we will discuss later. First question. If we have individual demand here, of course, it's gonna be like quantity demanded. Normally, it's going to be measured like that. If, again, question is that if we have individual demand, how could you achieve the market demand? First question. Các bạn đã viết được chưa nhỉ? Is that clear? Is that clear for all of you with this first question?
Yes.
Okay. Second question. We have the equation of the quantity demanded like this. We have quantity demanded for X is QX. We have PX, PY, AX, and Y, T, and O. We have the the denotation for that. Yes, if we have this, and let's ask yourself, if X of this if X of the determinant on the right hand side change, how will QX change? Với câu hỏi thứ hai, cô muốn chúng ta phân tích rằng với mỗi nhân tố ở bên phải mà tăng lên, hoặc tăng lên, thì QX sẽ thay đổi như thế nào? Và lý do là tại sao? Các em sẽ phải phân tích từng khía cạnh một. Và theo các em là nếu như PX tăng lên thì QX sẽ tăng hay giảm? Tăng thì sao, thì giảm thì sao, và tương ứng từng cái nhân tố một. Tiếp theo, for simplicity, chúng ta có we have QX equal to PX, just like the factor that affecting quantity demanded is just only price. Giả sử như chúng ta có phương trình đơn giản chỉ là QX bằng function của f của PX. Vậy các em đã bao giờ, hãy cho cô một cái nội dung người ta gọi là inverse demand function. Vậy thì các em hiểu thế nào là inverse demand function? Và nếu chúng ta có linear demand Qx is equal to A plus B Px, what please tell her the value of Q and P, and Px equal to 0 and Qx equal to 0. And what is the value of slope of delta Qx over delta Px? Is that clear for all of you? Vậy các bạn đã nắm rõ chưa nhỉ? Vậy chúng ta bắt đầu với market demand. Cô sẽ cho chúng ta khoảng 5 đến 10 phút. Các bạn nhìn qua các cái nội dung này. Trong lúc đó thì cô sẽ upload cái slide của cái phần này lên để các bạn có thể download và các bạn kiểm tra trực tiếp. Quan trọng nhất với cô chính là các cái nhân tố, từng cái nhân tố ảnh hưởng tới quantity demanded at food X here. Is that clear for all of you? Các bạn đã rõ chưa?
And yet it's all clear.
Okay, yeah. So now it's time for you to look into the thing. I will upload the slide.
Teacher, can I ask you a question?
Answer or ask?
Ask.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between this and what we have learned from macroeconomics?
This is the thing I tell you a little bit later, because I mean it's because we still based on the micro. So here's the thing that I just want you to look to review for that. It is important because we will look into the demand function estimation a little bit later.
So we will dive further into demand estimation, right?
Yes, a little bit later. But we need to, I want to repeat this for, reminding all of you about this very important thing. It's the target that we want to do.